what are you talking about? So that's the best if you introduce yourself, your chat. Please go ahead. We have 25 minutes for that.
Okay. Thank you very much, and greetings to everybody. Nice to have this opportunity to present my paper. And this is one of the accepted papers for this conference, and it's titled Prediction of Learner Information Seeking Behavior and Classroom Engagement in the Advent of ChatGPT. So the paper is looking ahead of what will happen in terms of the information seeking behavior of students, particularly in this paper or in the context of the paper, we focus on undergraduate students. And also we are looking at what it means for classroom engagement. So I will go into the details of the PPT. So I think somewhere in February we published a paper on ChatGPT, and it's one of the first papers to be published on ChatGPT because ChatGPT, as we all know, I will talk much about it, but now we are all conversant with it. So it was released somewhere in November 2022 by OpenAI. So we got the idea to look at what it means for education, and we published a paper on that. So this paper used 3 methods: a qualitative case study, where we interviewed experts who used ChatGPT or who had interacted with ChatGPT. And we the researchers, we also experienced ChatGPT for ourselves in order to be able to talk about it. And we also did a semantic analysis of tweets, what people are saying about ChatGPT. And we got to know that the ChatGPT tool, which is an advanced chatbot or a conversational agent, has the potential to transform education. However, as we have come to know, there are issues with the truthfulness of ChatGPT or accuracy of ChatGPT. Also, things regarding privacy can be misleading. Sometimes, if initially when the ChatGPT was launched, you will see that the OpenAI developers, they are taking some kind of survey or information from users. So issues regarding privacy was something that also had to be addressed. And if, because of machine learning, as you interact with ChatGPT, does it take your location or take some kind of data from you? So these are some of the things that we looked at. Yes, that we looked at. So we got to know that ChatGPT is going to transform education. At the same time, we have to be careful how we integrate it into education. So this paper is looking at one aspect of the revolution it will bring into education, which is so we are looking at just one aspect of the transformation potential of ChatGPT, or the revolution it will bring into education, which is information seeking, and what this will mean for classroom engagement. So as we are now conversant with ChatGPT, basically for the 3.5 version, this is the interface. You put a prompt in and it generates an output for you. So there is just the 3.5, how the interface look like, or initially when it was launched, how the interface look like. So you put any query or anything you want to ask, and ChatGPT generates an information for you. So the trust of the paper or the presentation is that because we are using it to search information, we are predicting that it can also affect the information seeking behavior of some students, particularly undergraduate students. So we've talked much about ChatGPT. By now we know what it is, but these are some of the research being conducted on ChatGPT, and we know ChatGPT means generative pre-trained transformer, and this is also based on natural language processing, which is one of the core themes of the conference. And as you can see, it is a technology which is a machine learning model that makes use of supervised pre-training and also fine-tuning to generate human-like responses. So most chatbots interact with people or users in a form of a humanistic manner, or in a way that is very difficult to distinguish it from a human response. But ChatGPT, when it was launched, we got to know that it is more advanced than previous chatbots that is being used by marketers and also website developers. So when it was released, some of the initial research by the time we did research, all these were preprints, and what they found is that ChatGPT is able to write academic essays, is able to take exams, and able to even assist in manuscript preparation. So we hypothesized or assumed in this study that it can affect the information seeking behavior of undergraduate students. So these are just some speculations about ChatGPT. If you just put on Google search some of the speculation about ChatGPT, one question is, will ChatGPT change how search engines work? There are different speculations about ChatGPT, but I'm looking at the information seeking behavior of students. So is ChatGPT a threat to search engines? These are some of the blogs being published, the title of blogs being published. Google search no more, how ChatGPT is revolutionizing. Will ChatGPT replace search engines? So these are just some blogs that have been published about ChatGPT, looking at how it will affect information seeking. So ChatGPT and allied chatbots such as Google Bard, Anthropic Plus, and other chatbot that has been released because of ChatGPT, they are all generative AI tools, and generative AI tools can be defined as technology that one leverages deep learning models. Also, it generates human-like content. It can be images, words, and in response, and also complex and varied prompts is able to provide answers to it. So for generative AI tools, there is just some categories that have been put forth by some researchers. So it can be visual, audio, or a text generator, or for code generation. So a lot of AI tools or generative AI tools have been launched since the advent of ChatGPT, and this is just a few of them, and some of them can be used to assist in research. So there are 4 paradoxes of generative AI tools that was put forth by one researcher, that generative AI can be a friend and also a foe. So when we are looking at information seeking behavior, we have to look at this aspect. It can be a friend in the sense that it can provide you with some responses that you want. At the same time, a foe, some of the responses might not be suitable, or it can be misleading. And generative AI is capable yet dependent. So we are looking at ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is able to give you quality response. However, it's dependent on the quality of your prompts, the question that you give to ChatGPT. It's also accessible yet restrictive. That means the new version, which is the ChatGPT 4, sometimes it's not accessible to people who are unable to subscribe. So it's also the socioeconomic or inclusive aspect of ChatGPT. And also, ChatGPT even gets popular when banned, or generative AI tools get popular when banned, because a lot of people or institutions are calling for it to be banned in terms of how it will assist in education. However, many students are still using. So in our paper, we wrote that banning ChatGPT doesn't mean it's not accessible to students or users. So what is information-seeking behavior? We get to know that it plays a vital role in the learning progress of students because every time we need to search or surf the internet for educational content to be able to complete our project. At the same time, the creation of digital learning environment has revolutionized information-seeking behavior. Because of digital technology, the way we search for information has changed. And because of the infusion of technology into education, it is easy to access learning materials or content over the internet. So now we have even e-libraries with search engines. And it is expected that undergraduates are able to make use of these generative AI tools to search for information. However, the accuracy and trustworthiness of information is something that is controversial. So if you get any response from ChatGPT, how do you assimilate it into your work? So that's one aspect that we have to look when it comes to information seeking. And one researcher tagged undergraduates as naive users of the web who consume any information from the internet without any rigorous criteria. So as ChatGPT or other generative AI tools are giving you information, how do you ensure the credibility or validity of the information that is being given? So as we predict how generative AI tools like ChatGPT will change information seeking, we also have to look at the pros and cons. So there is just reiterating what I'm just saying, that amid the euphoria of the positive transformation of generative AI tools such as ChatGPT, there are also doomsday predictions about ChatGPT. So in our study, we look at how it can transform information-seeking behavior of students in terms of those in conventional classrooms. And we put forth in our paper that although there are negative side of how it will affect information seeking behavior, if we use a method called inquiry-based learning, it will lead to positive classroom engagement. However, if we just assimilate or adopt content by ChatGPT, it will have negative impact on student information seeking and can also reduce classroom engagement. So classroom engagement, as is there, is just the level of interest and participation of learners during classroom. So I've already mentioned the purpose. So inquiry-based learning is just an exploratory approach to seeking information. You basically ask questions, or the teacher allow a student to probe or ask questions, and then the teacher also applies scaffolding and able to provide answers to some of the questions that the student or undergraduate might be asking or may be asking. So using this method has been authenticated or affirmed by researchers in digital learning environment that if people or users or learners adopt inquiry-based approach to learning in terms of seeking information, they are able to not just be assimilators of knowledge, but also critically think about what is being given them. So this is just what inquiry-based learning is about, and it's associated or correlated with information literacy. So students who lack information literacy skills will find it difficult to assess the accuracy of information and deal with prejudice or opinion. So inquiry-based learning focuses on enhancing the information literacy skills of learners, and because their skills are enhanced, they will be able to accurately search for information. So this approach has been used in terms of e-libraries and also enhancing the search of information by students. Because of time, I want to speed on. Yeah, so this is just a simple model that we propose in our study to just highlight what we are talking about, that ChatGPT will in a way affect information seeking behavior of learners, and this will have an implication for classroom engagement. However, if we use inquiry-based learning or theory approach, it will lead to a positive impact. So there are studies that have been conducted about the information-seeking behavior of undergraduates, and some of the studies we found were not something positive, that undergraduates, they basically assimilate information that is being given them without rigorous analysis or truly analyzing what is being given. So this is just some studies that has been conducted about undergraduate information seeking behavior. This implies that we have to make sure that undergraduate really gets information literacy skills to be able to search for information, and we can do that through inquiry-based learning as we propose in our simple framework. So some studies have also been conducted on the role technology plays in information seeking, and all these studies highlight the positive role technology has shaped information seeking. Even as researchers, we log into a lot of electronic or scientific database to search for information. So we could see that somewhere in the 1990s, when the World Wide Web was first introduced, it changed or revolutionized how we search for information. And many people use Google search and Yahoo search or Bing search or Microsoft search to search for information. So technology has played a major role on how we seek for information, and now people have smartphones. So even as I'm presenting, somebody might search for an information on the slide that he or she might not understand or found it contextual. So technology is really shaping how we seek for information. But I have to reiterate this point by this researcher, that despite the advancement of generative AI tools, technology, how it is shaping education, traditional way of visiting libraries, both physical library and online subscription databases, they are still irreplaceable. So we still have campuses with libraries that have been built, and people go there to read because people like to also read physical products. So yeah, so the 2023 Global Monitoring Report, according to the UNESCO, is saying that we have to learn to live without technologies, live with and without technology. So we are just highlighting that ChatGPT has a transformative potential, but if we are to really harness it, we have to use inquiry-based method. So these are just some case studies of how generative AI tools or chatbots such as ChatGPT has been used in other institutions, and it has helped in the learning or information seeking of users or students. So because of time, ChatGPT can, if positively used, can promote classroom engagement because it has several features such as its ability to provide immediate feedback. Although this is good if we use an inquiry-based approach, if we do not, because students can just access information, they might, in conventional classroom, they might not ask their teacher. Some students or learners are shy, so it might deter them. Instead of asking the teacher, I'm talking about the human tutor for information, that the person or student might decide to go home and search, or if the person has, now some of these are accessible on smartphones or laptops to search for information. So here we present the good side and the converse side, the positive and the negative side of how the features can mean for information seeking. Yes, because sometimes if a learner asks a teacher something, maybe the teacher is not the hub of all knowledge, but ChatGPT looks at the internet and bring try to aggregate all the information for the student. So if a teacher is unable to accurately or adequately answer a student's question, the student might want to turn to ChatGPT or other generative AI tools. So this, we look at like the multimodal nature. Maybe as a teacher, the teacher might provide an abstract description, but the ChatGPT-4 can give you images, and other generative AI tools can give you graphs and statistical analysis. So some students may tend. So here we provide the good side and also the bad side. So we are using inquiry-based learning. As a learner, you have to use quality prompts and also ensure the credibility of ChatGPT, its responses. Yeah, so in conclusion, we are saying that ChatGPT has a transformative potential in terms of how learners will use it to seek for information. But if we use inquiry-based learning, it will lead to positive academic outcomes or educational outcomes. On the opposite side, if we just allow students to just use ChatGPT or other generative AI without any AI policy, this might have a bad impact on information seeking and ultimately the educational outcome of students. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mike. So now there is time for some questions. If you have it. Any question on ChatGPT? Also from online people? I don't have an overview there, but hopefully someone can see. And otherwise, I have in the meantime, while people may think of other questions, then I have the question about dependability. So, are you not afraid that students become dependent on ChatGPT, that they use inquiry-based learning to just ask or just research if the information provided is correct, but they may also get completely dependent on ChatGPT, that only if ChatGPT says something, then it's true.
Yeah, I agree, but I think someone from the computer science or educational technology area said that we created the computers, they didn't create us, so they have to learn more about us than we, or depend on our knowledge than we depending on them. So it's just subject to the individual that you make a conscious effort not to just depend on ChatGPT, because if you try to depend on it in anything, when you are asked a question or anything, you just turn to it because maybe it's just accessible. So as an individual, because for your own growth in terms of academic or other things, you might have to try to think through other things before you use ChatGPT. So ChatGPT and other generative AI tools should be more of a guide than just maybe direct.
Well, we have to convince us the other for this.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, Giulio?
I was wondering what type of work should universities or higher education in general do to prepare the students to use ChatGPT, basically, also in education? What type of work?
Yeah, for me, I think every institution should have a policy, an institutional AI policy, especially for ChatGPT. So, because of generative AI tools like ChatGPT, just about a month or two, the UNESCO released a document on how to ensure this. So maybe institutions can adopt the UNESCO approach to serve as a guide for their institutional policies. So basically, there is one Chinese professor who's also work at the UNESCO, Fei-Chan Mao, if I get the name right. He's also developing an AI competency framework for teachers, for students. Yeah, so I follow him. So every day he's sharing the updates by himself. So if we follow some of the frameworks that have been established, we can use it to guide students. Yes.
Yes, please.
Hello, thanks for your presentation. My name is Daniel Burgos. I come from Spain. I think that we've been discussing just ChatGPT as anyone else for a number of weeks now, a number of months. And I think that the question that the moderator raised about if there is a problem, that now the students will use only ChatGPT, that is a reasonable question that is coming to the table many times. I strongly believe that this is not the issue. ChatGPT is a tool. There are many tools. So the problem is not about the technology, but about the people that actually use the technology. It's an ethical issue. So before Turnitin happened, people copy-pasted largely, but they didn't have a tool to double-check if there was plagiarism. Now with ChatGPT will happen again. Will be a Turnitin ChatGPT version that will take the results of whatever it is there just to double-check if it's being used or provided or inspired by ChatGPT. And the question will still remain. It's about the ethics and the moral compass. So the student will keep doing anything to cheat the system or not. And it depends very much on the person. And I think that we should focus on that educational background or moral background of the guy and not of the tool. Because if there is a workaround, many people will use it no matter what, and many people will not. It depends very much on that, in my opinion.
I completely agree with what you say. And
Thank you
I
so
think,
much.
I repeated this many times, I think that we should trust the students, because the majority of the students deserve the trust. And there will always be someone who cheats, but there used to be even before ChatGPT and any time. So that's not the difference. Yes, completely agree.
They already developed the tool, right?
Yes, there are tools already existing, yes, for that. I think that now in view of time, we have to finish this discussion, because ChatGPT is coming back again in two presentations. So the next presentation is an online presentation. I don't know if we can see. And he said, people from Zoom, can you hear me? We cannot hear you, at least. Okay, I think yeah, the Drost effect we've seen ourselves many, many times. Is Karthika or Bharat or Lalit here online? I think we missed the speaker. So where we can go. I see the speaker for the third talk is here, but I don't see the one so fast. Is someone from the paper starting with ages, ages? No, so maybe we can move to Chen Ying. Are you willing to start your talk now? Instead, so we switch the two talk?
Yeah, that is fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
So then maybe we start with you, and then if the speaker of the other paper appears, then they can start later.
Thank you.
Okay, so
Yep.
Chen Ying, yeah, we will have that's also fit very well. Actually, we continue the discussion with ChatGPT, with now opportunities and challenges. And please, Chen Ying, I think the floor is yours, or the screen is yours.
Thank you. Yes, I think my title, the title of this presentation is Navigating Generative AI, which includes ChatGPT in higher education, opportunities and challenges. My name is Dr. Chen Ying from the Swinburne University of Technology in Australia. So my presentation will be very aligned with the first presenter. It's also about the ChatGPT's use.
Chen Ying, sorry to interrupt you. Can you maximize your screen?
Sorry?
Can you maximize your screen so that your presentation?
Would that
Yes, that's already better. And minimize that. Yes, perfect. Thank you.
help? Okay, cool. Cool. So this presentation is quite aligned with the first presentation. Is about generative AI in the higher education settings. As we know that the generative AI things is especially the ChatGPT established, released to public last December. It has generated all kinds of hits, and this technology that can create content such as text, image, or by drawing the extensive data has been trained on them. So it is really revolutionary, and as the output is original and feel very human-like. So because this like the technology has massive knowledge base, and it is capable of producing the human-like original content. So there has been a debate about, like students being tempered to use the tool to cut corners on their assignments or quizzes. But there are, so that's why in many universities, like previously when I was in Hong Kong earlier this year, like the universities of Hong Kong, Chinese University of Hong Kong, they all like banned the ChatGPT use for student work. Even they have a policy for saying that the student will be expelled if caught using ChatGPT. But at the same time, we see those commentaries be talking about, oh, actually this is a brilliant tool that we shouldn't really ban it, as like it's really give us a good opportunity to rethink about the university, what is the ultimate purpose for teaching and learning. So that is the rationale of this study. So the ChatGPT as a generative AI has capabilities ranging from crafting academic articles to coding. So these generated debates having both risks and transformative potential. So the research problem is this polarizing views among educators and researchers on its roles in higher education. Now the study, so in this study I attempted to assess the impact and explore the strategy for the responsible use of generative AI in higher education by looking at its opportunities and challenges in the published literature. And the research question would be, generative AI technology is a boon or bane for higher education. So in order to do that, I conducted a desk research. Well, given the time that when I did this desk research was on April this year, so it was just only like after like 3 to 4 months that ChatGPT was released to public. So relatively there were limited material or limited papers published at that time for me to have a more comprehensive review of this technology in the higher education context. So by doing so, for that's why when I did the desk research, I not only look at the journals and conference articles, reports, but also expand the scope of review that include high quality media that could be included like popular media, those kind of. So through the virus database related to education and technology, even included those papers that were still the non-peer review paper that were also included. So a keyword search involved a ChatGPT or generative AI were conducted, looking at papers or articles in English language discussing ChatGPT generated AI in education context. So I carefully consider the quality of the information sources, and with that scoping review, I conducted content analysis in order to generate the key themes in terms of the opportunities and the challenges of the generative AI in higher education. Now, so the key opportunity, so the findings, the key opportunities. First, I think actually one of the paper that the first presenter mentioned, that was actually included in one of them in my review. Opportunities like general AI can be a teaching aid. So means that the first presenter talked about how students can actually gaining useful information from the ChatGPT, but actually for teachers can also benefit a lot with ChatGPT. For example, particularly in terms of preparation of course materials, learning activities, or assessment. So some of the studies were talking about how the ChatGPT help teachers to gather the materials, to brainstorm discussion questions, case studies, or a problem set that are tailored to their specific teaching objective, help to brainstorm the ideas or create materials for crafting the exercises, quizzes, or scenario for students assessment. And even with that, the ChatGPT being able to generate content for students to learn. So in a way, there were actually studies talking about using ChatGPT to support flipped learning, flipped teaching approach, which allowed more effective use of in-class time for group discussion or problem solving. And even there were cases talking about how the ChatGPT be capable of doing the curriculum design, assisting in designing or updating their existing curricula, creating rubrics, or setting the education goal. One of the extreme case that even cited that how they use ChatGPT to generate a whole course syllabus for an undergraduate statistics course, improving the efficiency of their teacher. The result was quite good, and at the same time, the generative AI ChatGPT can be used as a learning companion, so that so it can be serving as a source of knowledge where students can gain support and resources as a go-to place, as an information hub. Now, this is particularly useful for those students that require and that need self-study, or by getting answers with ChatGPT, or for those students that need actual reinforcement activity to. So it also it also can be more in a role of as a personalized tutoring and feedback, so that whatever the student input with to give them ChatGPT to evaluate the quality of their work, and the ChatGPT were able to generate the feedback and provide some suggested improvement. And a particular example was that there was a study using ChatGPT for the student doing the writing task and the assessment. So that in that study, the ChatGPT served as an initial drafting tool. The ChatGPT helped to draft the initial work, and then students refine the draft by have a deep diving into the references to refine the work. So through that process, a student actually learn how to generate, how to co-work with ChatGPT to develop a really high quality of their of the work. So, but at the same time, many studies talk about these challenges of using the ChatGPT, particularly in terms of the academic integrity issues, like the generative student can easily use that to easily misuse the generative AI to generate essays or complete exams. So, and at the same time, the plagiarism detection tools like Turnitin or other tools actually having difficulty in identifying the AI generated work. But this is actually a problem because we are end up in like cat and mouse game that build, or even someone may call the arm race, that on the one hand we are the student trying to trying to get away from this being caught for using a generative AI. On the other hand, we have these tools trying to improving its detection rate. So this is not really healthy, and it's actually shifting away the purpose of our education. Another challenge is about this unfair advantages for those students who have been using generative AI compared to the others who are not using that. And for these reasons, like most of the universities are having been either banned the use of the ChatGPT, or some others universities maybe not have an institutional banning, but but encourage their staff to adopt alternative assessment methods that focus on in-class participation, presentation, or other than non-written tasks. But this really call for the urgency of having a national guideline or institutional updated policy regarding how to appropriately use generative AI. At the same time, even we are like embracing we accept the use of generative AI, there are still concerns in terms of its accuracy, because generative AI can produce misleading or incorrect information. So that could raise question about the reliability of the content for its educational use, because technically generative AI is a language model, so it lacks the ability to really assess the credibility of its training data, assess its credibility of the contents. So that can produce many sounds reasonable, sounds plausible, but inaccurate response. And but at the same time, like the ChatGPT, the current version have a data cutoff till 2021, so that the content delivered may be outdated or even irrelevant. Another issue was about the lack of contextual understanding. So because the generative AI do not have a good understanding, like the meaning behind the words. It's a language model, so it recognizes patterns, but doesn't really understand the true meaning of the word. So that these results can this could result in the response that lack deep insights or off topic, and and also the system itself doesn't really often suffer from issue of lack of specified domain knowledge, so that this could also hinder its use for educational uses. And now the ChatGPT's content was not really tailored for a national or school-based curricula, or student learning style or culture content, so that when the lack of contextual understanding could be making it not really that useful sometimes. So, but still, like the challenge, another major challenges that are reported in the studies include the data privacy, transparency, and security concerns. As the educators, like the data that we are when we use the technology, it often involves like sensitive information like students' demographic information, academic record, or behavior patterns. So any like the misuse of the data can result in severe consequences, and the black box nature of this generative AI technology, making it difficult for us to truly understand its internal mechanism. So without having the clear transparency, how the data will be used, that could also create concerns. Currently, many countries or like regions do not even the city or even universities. We don't have much legal and regulatory framework. So
Chen Ying, sorry.
And that also cause problems. Like an example of Italy actually.
Chen Ying, sorry.
ChatGPT because of lack of the privacy concerns and the lack of legal framework for data collection. But let's not forget that ChatGPT is powered by a company called OpenAI.
Chen Ying,
yeah.
Sorry, we have to arrive to a conclusion now because the time is finishing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it also has challenges in terms of the biases, and it can be amplified, the biases and the discriminative risk, and also causing the digital divide issues. So the conclusion is that, well, we have both opportunities and challenges, and just like in the old days having the calculators, it is like creating some fears and creating some issues, but we should really embrace it rather than prohibit it, and there are strategies needed. So in conclusion, I recommended 4 strategies, which is establishing clear policies for generative AI in HEIs, revisiting the assessment, teacher professional development, and developing student literacy for the responsible use of generative AI. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chen Ying. Let's thank the speaker. We have time for a short question because we are a bit running out of time. From online, I don't see. Please. Short question.
So have you implemented ChatGPT into your own organization at your university, and like as has say about anti-privacy? So what are really how do you solve the challenges that you just have mentioned? Can you hear me?
Sorry, I didn't hear you very clearly. Could you or the
Yes. So the question is, if I can repeat shortly, is have you implemented all this the policy that you advise in your organization?
No, actually, my current university are actually in the process of making the relevant policy, and actually, even in Australia, the national government is now working on a national framework on that, which will be released later this year.
Okay. Thank you. So I think we have to conclude for now. And now let's take again the speaker. So now we should see who is online. Again, people from the AGE's paper. Is someone there? see. Ooh, I don't see any one of them. Because otherwise we have the last paper. We're still there. It's only. So, Karthika or Bharat, are you there? Lalit? No? None of you? Then, yeah, the only other things we can do is we can go to the last papers, which is Yue who? Yue? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
Will you be willing to give the talk now?
Okay, wait a minute.
Yes, please. Yeah, so, just one. But I don't see any problem with these people. I don't see this is all online.
Can you hear me and see my screen?
So, okay, so remember this is, you have 20 minutes. Sure, yes. Yeah, if you can do full screen maybe, because we see also the slide. Yes, perfect. Okay, Yue.
Okay.
The floor is yours, Yue, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to have the chance to share my work. My name is Hu Yue. I'm a graduate student at the Beijing Normal University from China. And the next few minutes, I will present my study focusing on four main aspects. To begin, I will make a brief introduction about the research background, and then I will introduction the research design, and finally I will present the results and draw conclusion based on our study. Online learning is an important link in higher education. Over recent years, there has been a significant increase in research dedicated to understanding the factors that influence students' online learning effects. Identifying these influencing factors serves several crucial purposes. Firstly, it allows developers to evaluate learning systems effectively, enhancing their accessibility and expanding their functionality. Additionally, it helps educators engage in insights into student behavioral trends, aiding the improvement of overall quality of teaching. Studies in this area have explored a range of factors that affect online learning effect. The factors include system quality, course design, interaction, personal learning habits, cognitive styles, and more. One silent characteristic of online learning is its fragmented nature. Learners have the flexibility to engage in learning during their available spare time. This approach divides learning content and learning times into small units, fosters quick and adaptable learning. Typically, learners followed a pattern of learning, interval learning again, interval learning. Several studies have indicated that our capacity to recall information and context is enhanced when we learn them in multiple spaced-out sessions. However, it remains unclear whether time intervals influence students' memory and performance when they learn online. Hence, our research aims to bridge this gap. To achieve this, now I will introduce our research design. Researchers on distributed learning have revealed that the learning interval can lead to the forgetting of prior knowledge. In order to enhance the long-term retention, the students need to actively engage in fine-grained knowledge processing by establishing connections between new and existing knowledge, or repetitive memory processing by reviewing what we have learned before. Additionally, some researchers have proved that learning intervals can cause changes in the learning context. According to the contextual background hypothesis, knowledge is installed in memory along with the learning context, and the learning process is to identify useful cues from a series of cues pointing to the target event, recall and extract the target information. Based on the aforementioned arguments, we have created an online learning behavior framework that comprises two dimensions: knowledge processing and learning context. Knowledge processing within this framework encompasses both finite processing and repeated knowledge processing. Learning context refers to a series of online learning activities that students actively participate in, each characterized by unique pose and approach. It concludes retrieval practice context, learning sport context, and interactive context. In this experiment, we enlisted the 543 freshmen who were enrolled in a C-program course and majoring in non-computer science. These students completed a 17-week course using the daily quiz to enhance their understanding during the course. Now let's take a closer look at the daily quiz.
Daily Quiz is a practice system supporting distributed practice for novice programming. After logging into the system, the first thing you'll see is a calendar. In this calendar, red blocks represent quizzes for the current day that are yet to be completed, while green blocks signify quizzes that have been finished. You can easily navigate through different months by simply clicking the previous month and next month buttons. Beneath the calendar, you'll find an array of achievement badges that keep track of your progress, including the practice accuracy, total number of days you practiced, the number of comments you've made, and the number of likes you've received. On the right-hand side of the page, there's a user-friendly navigation bar, including sections for the calendar, today's quizzes, completed quizzes, collection, and personal profile. The system sends you 2 multiple-choice questions daily. You can effortlessly switch between them using the previous day and next day buttons on the question page. Once you've selected an answer, the system promptly provides feedback on its correctness. You can also review the correct answer, the explanation, and related materials. The related questions section conveniently displays questions related to the current knowledge point. Beneath each question, you'll find a discussion board, a place for users to engage in conversations about the question. Here, you can ask questions, provide answers, browse others' questions and answers, and show appreciation by liking helpful responses. If you've bookmarked a question for later, you can easily access it in the collection section. Furthermore, the completed quizzes section neatly organizes all the questions you've answered so far.
Okay, well, building upon the understanding of the learning system, I will now transition to the measurement aspect of our study. We employ 2 main primary metrics: the sequential practice interval and the single point practice interval to evaluate fine knowledge processing and repeated knowledge processing.
Can you hear? I think we have some problem with the audio. There is some problem either with internet or because also the slide is blocked. You there? That's it. Oh, it's disconnected, so apologies for this, but That's why we should prefer to come physical in a meeting. Also to talk about online education. Yue, are you there? No? Oh yeah. Hello? Is she online? Okay, so at the moment it's not clear if she's online or not. Yeah, but it doesn't reply, so it may be there frozen at the screen. So that's okay. We were in the middle of a presentation. That's never happened. Any idea what we should do? We can interrupt that. Maybe we are starting now. Let's hope. You I think she cannot share the screen if it's. I think it's, maybe we can try later, because anyway we seem that we have already one presentation, the authors are not there, so maybe we can retry later. So sorry for all this technical problem.
But Mustafa, I think the speaker really has internet issue, right?
Yeah, yes.
The correct one, but there is also...
Yeah, yes, that's why I'm saying we can move directly to the other one. To the paper 19, Vompanya.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Your internet is good? Let's hope. Okay, thanks. I think that it's best maybe that if you start your talk and go until the end, don't worry, we are not going to interrupt you. And then the other speaker we can try later. So, is this fine with you? It's almost your time anyway. So the next, sorry again for all this technical interruption, but we go directly to the paper number 19, which is the paper from presented here by Vompanya Nuankeo, and if you can share your screen, Vompanya. I hope I pronounce your name correctly, because I say already 3 or 4 times.
That's okay.
Yes, I should put full screen, it would be perfect. Yes. Perfect. Okay, so the floor is yours. You can start, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I amญญาอน from University of Piriya, Thailand. Today, I would like to present about academic achievement synthesis to complete graduation strategy for mathematics students with educational data mining and learning analytics. Let me start with into the introduction, research objective, and then material and methods. After that, I would like to present about research results, move on to discussion, and then finally conclusion at the end of this talk. Let's now start within the introduction. Our world today is increasingly interconnected without borders. However, humanity faces complex, interrelated challenges requiring multidisciplinary solutions. In addition, today most pressing issues are sustainable education, single health, digital tests. It trust affect the problematic lifestyle and the problem of finding building a sustainable career in the future. A new state where data scientists have come to influence education management is the study of the learning behavior and constructing learning strategy. The creation of a learning model that is consistent with the potential of the candidate has attracted enormous interest. Inspiration and motivation are the behavioral science educators use to develop learner potential thoughts, purposeful analysis. It is acceptable to manage hybrid learning to integrate different methods and facilitate education provision. It has brought artificial intelligence technology to drive learner and has student problem detection to prevent dropout and many other examples. Move on to research objective. This research aims to apply artificial intelligence technology to promote and develop a quality education system. There are three main processes. To start the first objective, to study the academic achievement context of students, develop a predictive model for learner achievement to serve learning style appropriate for learner potential, and evaluate the model's performance and determine its implementation. From the context of important and situations that have changed due to what conditions that affect learner behavior, the researcher firmly believe this research will drive and improve the quality of higher education learner. Next, go to material and method. I will show you the overview the material and method. The population of this study was students who had enrolled and received academic achievement from Bachelor of Science program in Mathematics at Faculty of Science and Technology from Rajabhat University, Thailand. The purposive selection methods of 193 students from 2013 to 2020. This research process is conducted according to Christie aim of data mining process. It consists of business understanding, data understanding, and data preparation, data cleaning, data integration, data reduction, and data transformation within data preparation process. Move to model development process. This research used supervised learning technique to develop the most effective model. It consists of artificial neural network, ANN, decision tree, generalized linear models called GLM, generate-able, naive Bayes, and support vector machine. And evaluation process. To use the visual model performance is the confusion matrix process. We use tenfold cross validation. We use tenfold cross validation, which has four matrix accuracy, precision, recall, and F1 score. It was used to determine the predictive potential and performance of model. This table shows a summary of Western data regulating import issue include that the 2013 to 2016 had a similar proportion of graduate and non-active. And non-active. In 2014 to 2017 years has more missed scheduled graduate than those who had graduate on schedule. Moreover, the students' overall academic achievement GPA appeared to be moderate, with a mean equal to 2.7 of 4. With that in mind, it is necessary to develop predictive achievement model to prepare learner at least of failing to achieve future academic achievement. The data show in the GPA reflect of concern of dropping out of the system with a very high number and proportion of students. Therefore, it is necessary to develop alternative in which researchers have developed a model to predict the risk of dropping out of the educational system. Move on to research results. This table presents detailed research result of risk prediction model of mathematics students. This research found that the model developed with the candidate-level approach had the highest accuracy. 83.5 with the researchers select for future application. The precision of decision tree, GLMS, naive Bayes, and SVM model verbal is in the result class because the data for the training model is a little. It should be found to the method for improving this problem. This table shows the model performance report, the confusion matrix. We found that the XSS result for this matrix show that the model was reasonable to apply as for matrix, had the highest value for all matrix by candidate level. This is the result of recall and precision for is passed by KNN model. Next to discussion. Research found variance characteristic in the context of learner a high grade point average were GPA equal to 3.54. Some learners failed their study the a grade point average of 0.22. The average GPA of all data show that the most learner receive an average GPA to 0.27. It implies that the most learner have moderate academic skill and that's those in charge of the curriculum must find way to improve. It shows concern over the high proportion of students dropped out with 22.8%, failing to achieve academic achievement and 20.21% students who graduate not on schedule. This research has focused on predicting the risk of students dropping out. Move on to conclusion. And finally, conclusion, the researcher create models to compare different supervised learning technique to find the appropriate model for this data set. The result of development of the academic achievement model show that the model had a high level of efficacy. The model developed with the level model had the high end. This model is reasonable to apply. This model is reasonable to apply to solve the problem of student dropout and graduate not on schedule. It was found that the dropout class having the highest precision and F1 score and graduate on schedule class having the highest recall. The researcher found that the context of students that learner are heterogeneous and diverse, comprising high potential learner. And in future work, the researcher will apply this framework to develop a system to decrease student dropout risk. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. So let's see if you have some questions. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Yes, Miss Wong Panya. Yes, I would like you to corroborate, explain more about your research problem. Why your research is take place at Mahasarakham University?
Our core researcher is they teach at Rajpath University.
Well, I would say that this is not the expectations answers for the academic. The reasons that because of the researcher working there. Can you prove any evidence that it really have the risk of dropout at this university? Okay.
Institution on the during COVID-19 pandemic, the student cannot can control themselves online learning.
But your research, when you develop the model, you are not specific only the online environment, right? When you predict in just in the traditional.
I think your
mathematics.
data is based from 2013, so that's it's not only online. Yes, so I would say
Yes.
it's a correct observation.
And another thing, I think that as you mentioned that this will develop the model and practice. Could you give an example how this model will implement in the institute? What is the step 1, step 2?
Okay. Your question, I'm one of the researcher. This is a good question. I would like to answer the previous question. This research is in the COVID situation, and we have a traditional study, traditional teaching and learning in the university. We cannot change anything because the policy of the university. That's why we have the data from the university for Mustafa. And the next step, we already have the model, the best model, and we know the critical cost. Cost is mean which are from the program of the mathematics. That's why we have to drop out. We have only three courses that take the student drop out. If we know that, we have to prepare and we have to take care every student chance to drop out. And the next step, we propose the strategy to university and to faculty, and then we can take care of the students, not have to drop out. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, thank you for the answers. Yes, but actually, as I asked that, what should be the implementation step? Yeah.
We can only report to the faculty and to the university, and then we have the meeting, and then we have to maybe we have developed application and tagging student by person one by one to take care of them in the first year, then when they coming to university, and we compare in our university. We have two university from Mustafa, and we are I'm a researcher at the University of Piriya. We compare the program of the mathematics and take a look what the model is critical for apply for two universities. And the next step, we already can report to the administration.
Okay, thank you for the very insightful, and at least I think that we can make a conclusion that you have the suggestion at the administration level, yes, at your institute. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Thank you for your question.
And I think if there are no other questions, so we should check still if we have online the paper number 50. Anyone there? Otherwise, I think that we have to close this session. No? Oh yeah, sure. Thanks. Thanks, Piriya. Yes. Oh, sorry, I was skipping you. My apologies. No, I don't have you in my program. I'm looking for you. Hey, who? You. Yeah. Can we resume your lecture? But you have to give us a short summary. So maybe if you can, the time, just go back first to the slides to the. Sorry, if you can go faster to show what you have, the slide before, and then we start from 11, okay? We can make a resume or... Okay.
Okay. Now, this is the treatment aspect of our study. We use the technical practice interval and symbolic point practice interval to measure the fine knowledge processing and repeated knowledge processing. And as for the learning context, we use learning times as a measure of the learning context. We use practice times and answer times to measure the retrieval practice context and view explanation times and related information times to evaluate the learning support context. And lastly, we consider total number of postings and likes on the discussion board as an indicator of the interaction times. To assess the online learning effect, we use practice accuracy derived from the daily quiz as a metric. As you can see, the data were normally distributed, so the accuracy was divided into 3 levels: low representing accuracy below the 60% and medium representing accuracy between 60% and 70%, and high representing accuracy exceeding 17%. And next, we applied 5 algorithms: logic regression, naive Bayesian network decision trees, and random forest to predict student practice accuracy. And moving forward, now I share the results of our study. The findings obtained from descriptive statistics should reveal that students actively engage in practice and frequent reviewed answers and explanations to enhance their understanding. However, their pretension in viewing related information and interacting with peers displayed comparatively lower levels of involvement. In terms of the prediction performance, it is noteworthy that random forest displayed highest F1 soccer, measuring at 0.743. The result indicates that knowledge processing and learning context can predict student performance effectively. Additionally, the result of the feature importance ranking indicates that the most influential factor is the practice times, followed by the viewed explanation times. This highlights the impact of contextual variation on students' online learning effect. Micro-practice simulates connections between cues and memory contents, thereby enhancing problem-solving speed. Additionally, students who have greater practice frequency experience a more extended range of learning contexts. These substantial changes in learning contexts are stored in memory along with information which positively influence the learning effect and memory retention. The results of our study are consistent with practice research. In these actual study, students in distributed practice group always went back to practice the questions they had already done. So through distributed practice, they were able to extract knowledge components in a more distributed manner and enhancing the acquisition patterns corresponding knowledge components. In summary, our study provides a novel prospect for researching the factors that influence online learning effect. We have achieved this by establishing a comprehensive online learning behavior framework that encompasses both knowledge processing and learning content. And our finding eliminated the learning content, the impact that variations of knowledge processing patterns and learning contents have on the online learning. And we have several suggestions for educators. First, it is imperative to consider enriching the learning contents with the online learning environment. And additionally, teachers should pay more attention to students' learning behaviors and take timely interventions. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for attention.
Okay, thank you. And we have again time for questions. Yes, you have one question.
Okay, because technical problem on the middle, I want to know about your result. That means random forest is the best model. I want to know the number of samples you use in your model.
The participation we used 543 freshmen who wrote in the C program course, and the algorithm we used the algorithms have modeled have changed.
Okay, and you are classified into 3 classes, right? On the side of your distribution of people score, low, medium, and high, maybe, I'm not sure. Yes, from this slide, that means your model prediction into the 3 class, right?
Yes.
Okay, I have some suggestion because from your model show the random forest is the best result, but I see in your 5 algorithms you use, this is I say by myself, this is a traditional model, right? 500 maybe is enough to use neural network or deep learning technique to sample and test for fun. I suggestion for fun. That's maybe show something interesting in your model result. Thank you.
Thank you. We will consider your suggestions into our analysis in future work. Thank you for suggestions.
There's another question.
Hello, thank you very much for your presentation. I've heard that you had a demo about 2 different quizzes, the one that you have shown, which has like the timetable and has different rate button for doing a quiz and for not doing a quiz, and a green button for doing a quiz. I would like to ask about, like, are these the data of your website were calculated into the random forest model? Like the above one, the page 10?
Page 10.
Yeah, this one.
Is it 10?
Yeah. Is this the learning system? Are the data from these learning system be calculated into the random forest, and like what do you use after the prediction from the random forest model? Are these the input data from 576?
The student data were logged in the daily quiz, so we extract the data and we process the data to the model.
And does it actually like shows the prediction afterwards into the system?
No. Because we do the research is after the course is ends, so we didn't have the opportunity to show the results to the students.
Okay, so the model are for analysis after doing the learning system. Okay, sure, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Piriya also has a question.
Hello. So I have some question regarding the instructional point of view. I see that you use like a daily question, which is a multiple choice based, right? So since this is C programming, are there any assignment that regarding the coding hand-on coding that you give to students?
In this system now, we try to the coding questions to the students, but in this study we didn't consistent those coding questions.
So
we just carried the multiple choice questions into the calculate.
Okay, so I mean, I know that you have this choice question, but you say that you don't have the coding question, that they have to practice by some question and let them code according to and check the result, the output result. Some kind of
students will study on site when during the program course. They will use this learning system in their available spare time. So in the course they will practice their coding skills.
Okay, so so maybe in the future, if we can calculate that kind of practice, like into this calculation, will be great, right?
Yes, we will consider your suggestions.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and let's thank the speaker again. I think that this concludes the session for now, which means we are a bit early, a bit more than a bit. So I think there is a coffee break, at least in 15 minutes, and otherwise, you can stay here, discuss, and whatever, refresh. And in 15 minutes, we have a break. Okay, thank you.